Hello and welcome everyone in another episode of Researcher Celebrity powered by Empowering Science Foundation. Today we have Dr. Anupma Thakur with us as our Researcher Celebrity, and a brief intro about uh, Anupama is she has done her bachelor's and master's in technology, BTech and MTech from India. BTech was in electronics and communication engineering, and MTech was in nanoscience and nanotechnology from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Following her passion for research, she was awarded a DST Inspire Fellow. She did her PhD from CSIR-CSIO, which is a National Research and Developmental Laboratory at Chandigarh. Then she got Early Career Fellow, which is a distinguished award for pursuing her postdoctoral research in India, and she joined IIT Gandhinagar. Presently, she is at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis in the United States. And with this brief, I would like to welcome Dr. Anupama at the platform.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity and having me. It's my pleasure to discuss my research journey with everyone.
Thank you. So, Anupama, the conversation at Research Celebrities we start is like how and when you wanted to be a researcher or you decided.
Okay, so as a woman of color and, pursuing my passion for science and engineering, I had the quest of, learning science, like since I was in my primary school. And since then, following my passion for doing science, doing chemistry, physics experiments, it all, helped me to pursue higher education. And then I decided to do an engineering graduation. So starting from there, I did a project on renewable energy during my bachelor's. And then I thought, let's do something that is sustainable for Mother Planet Earth. And then from there, I pursued my master's in nanoscience and engineering, working on materials for sustainable, energy applications. So that was the point when I decided that I want to work on energy materials, contribute to sustainable development. And with the help of my mentors during my master's, I was able to shape my career for doing doctoral research, which was again focused on clean energy applications, specifically hydrogen. And now I see, since when I started my PhD in 2017 and now in 2023, we see, great advancements going in that direction, like all green energy, green hydrogen being set a mark for commercialization, and even Indian government is contributing a lot in clean energy. So that is where I feel like, yes, I have, marked some points in that domain. And with that quest, I moved to US to explore more, widen the spectrum of materials that I, want to work on. And with the help of my postdoctoral advisor, I'm here contributing more with two-dimensional materials for clean energy.
So this crisp of entire research career which you have walked till now. So now if we start with the pre-PhD, when you decided that you actually want to do a PhD?
Yeah, so it was in my last semester of master's. Mm-hmm. And I thought really, that the project, as I mentioned, even my master's 1-year project was something I thought of with the help of my mentors, that it is, as a woman in STEM and engineering, let's do something. You can be a role model for other, younger education, younger generations. So if you want to really do more, detailed research and want to help in contributing novel materials to sustainable energy, then this is the direction. So I must say, to do PhD, I probably I was sure when I was doing my master's project that I want to head further with the help of my mentors.
Great. And then now starting with the PhD, how was that journey?
Journey of PhD was more like roller coaster. It was challenging in the beginning because, as you know, we all face few difficulties when we start our doctoral research, in struggling to how to manage research, how to manage time, and, what will be the depth and, breadth of the research that we are contributing. So that was challenging in the beginning, but then with the help of my colleagues and mentors, I was able to shape down what were the main objectives that will be a part of my thesis, and how I can, in a span of, concise time, I'll be able to complete my doctoral research. So that was challenging in the beginning, but it was exciting. Like the way, we got the results with the ongoing research. We faced many failures also during the course of research, but then we stay motivated. I was able to, manage and accept failures, and got constructive feedbacks from mentors and colleagues to, refine my research and refine my research design. So with all that, we were able to accomplish and, mark some materials with good efficiencies for clean energy production. So yeah, it was encouraging, and I would say challenging as well.
Okay, so speaking of challenges, what were the most, three difficult challenges you had during your PhD, and what were those inspirational or the motivational thoughts which kept you going?
Yeah, so the major challenge was like as we work with materials, right? So the stability issue of materials is very challenging when we want to reproduce the results, right? So that was one issue. Like when we work with nanomaterials, it's not every time that they perform the same. So managing and having quality access to the nanomaterials, that was quite challenging. And the inspiration, I would say my mentors, my PhD guides, they were very helpful. And the one thought that they always shared was like, stay motivated and keep your passion. Like you will get it sometime. So with all that motivation, I was able to, put things together, practice more, give more time during my PhD with the help of my support from my family. So that was encouraging as well. And yeah, that's what I would say. Like, be motivated and follow your passion.
So during your PhD, were you certain about the postdoctoral research, or there were other thoughts? Because in India, we think about, okay, the moment we get the PhD, let's get jobs, or there are different challenges when it comes to that you are planning to move out of the country as a girl. Were there anything like from the family side or from your own, if you can share that experience too?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, like being a woman in STEM is again, it's more challenging because we need to, have certain levels where we need to, basically have a support from family. So that was the point. And yes, as I mentioned, like during my PhD, one component which was missing was international exposure, because I did my PhD from a national lab, and following the objectives, I was not sure that I really want to have international exposure. But while I was completing my PhD, I thought that that's one component which is missing in my research experience so far. So I then decided during my final year of PhD that surely I want to fight. I want to, apply for positions in abroad and gain some international exposure, such that in future when I lead my lab, I should have, have that international standards of doing research. So that was the point I was encouraged to, and then I found opportunities. But during all that process, I even spoke to my family, and they were very supportive. And talking in terms of my family life, so yes, when I moved to US, I recently got married, and then my husband, my family is in India. So I'm here and doing my postdoctoral research with the support and blessings of everyone. So that's the best point. Like I share, like even my support system is my family, who's encouraging me and, supporting me in doing like whatever best I want to do in my life. So
This is how I always say that friends and family are the support system for any researcher, just like any other human being, because researchers are at the end of the day are also human beings. Speaking of which, when you were moving out of the country, what were the main, thoughts, like pros and cons, if you can tell? Because the researchers in India these days, they want to have international exposure. And that was a very mindful thought of yours, that before starting your own laboratory, to give the international environment in your lab, you wanted to have this for yourself. So if you can say more about the pros and cons when you were deciding to take this position.
yeah, so pros were like, as I mentioned, that I wanted to be a science leader, right? So to get to that point, when we are I had a quest to have international exposure to gain more, how cross-disciplinary research actually builds on. So that was one thing. Second thing was like how, what are the things I'm missing in a national, research environment to broaden that horizon. So that was one thing. And while I'm here, the advantages of being at an international platform is that the way the science, works here, basically, that's more exciting, meaning the way they plan ahead, the collaborative discussions that they have weekly, that's new, that helps you to have on the mark. And next is more collaborative environment. They reach out to people who have expertise, more collaborative, sphere that they develop, and the opportunities. Like there is more that diversity in research at international platform. So I must suggest, like researchers during their span, whether it's pre-PhD, post-PhD, or maybe when they are working as in a job, like I suggest them to have some international exposure, because that helps us to develop and broaden our thinking, like the way, science and research works at a global scale. So I think that's recommended. And cons is just like, yes, we do miss our families. That's only one thing I feel. Like we have to stay motivated, dedicated to your research, while staying connected with your family. So that's one thing.
Okay, so what were the things which you faced when you moved out of the country? If this was your first travel out of the country?
Yes, for a longer period, this was my first travel. So I was like nervous when I moved, because in my family, I'm the first one who was to the United States. So with that, I was a little nervous how things will work, how community here will accept me. That was one thought, because we are not that native English speakers, diversity, cultures are different. So that was a little problem, but I really enjoy being here. I feel a part of this community now. So with that, and since beginning, like everyone is so respectful, so supportive. So that was good. So that I would again spread this word, that when we think that we are not, like we'll be kept aside, you'll not feel inclusive. So that's not the thing. Like when we move out, we work in a research community, international at international platforms. Then you should feel inclusive, because that's where it is basically. They don't keep you aside.
Sweet. So you have done research in India in different laboratories at different levels, pre-PhD, master student, and PhD. Now doing postdoctoral research. If I speak that how a researcher like Dr. Anupma, the journey of just from Anupama to Dr. Anupma, and from Chandigarh to Indianapolis, the researcher has evolved. How will you explain that part?
Yes. So as I said, like my journey from Anupma to Dr. Anupma has many, dots which are connected over a period of time. So with all those connected dots, I feel like I have my own definition for wisdom in that, which keep me motivated every time. So the definition for wisdom to me, and that pushes me forward, is like, first is like work hard. So I believe in that. I believe in myself to work hard, to contribute more. And then I basically encourage, like, include yourself in that race that is going on, encouraging everyone, right? And then D for diversity in experiences. So I like to share that, and I like to, feel inclusive in whatever we are doing. And then O for basically overcome your failures. So that's one thing, right? And basically I missed S. S is to support, to be supportive towards you, towards your colleagues, to your mentors. And then M is to maintain, that consistent lifelong learning motivation. So that's what I believe. So with that, path, I push myself to the boundaries and, give my best in whatever opportunity or, challenge that comes forward.
So you already mentioned that you wanted to do international, you want to experience this international exposure for your lab, and you already have early career fellowship at IIT Gandhinagar. The future plans, how do you see that?
Yeah, as a future, I want to pursue in academic journey. So that's what I have a goal for myself. And with
Mhm.
all the experiences, national, international, I'm looking forward to, find a position where I can, commit to more teaching, more research, and shape, help others to get motivated. So as a, again, motivation in that domain as a goal for my future, I want to be a role model. So that's one thing. So yeah, as an academia, I look forward to, contribute and pursue my career.
Okay, so there you mentioned few mentors and the laboratory environment, your colleagues.
Yeah.
What are the things which you feel that are lacking in the system? Because what we are seeing in the present is that there are
Mhm.
unfortunate events which is happening for the PhD students. Sometimes they just move out of the PhD after their 4 or 5 years of research, which is, I think, still okay. But doing it to the extent that where they just end the life is like it's very sad. What you think that the system lacks, that why people do this?
Yeah, I would suggest is the support from the mentors is very important while you do your PhD. And that's one thing, that can push you forward. So to do that, I suggest like, there should be very transparent relationship between a mentor and a mentee, because that will help a student or a research scholar to, if research is not working, let's redesign it, let's structure it again to, find failures. So that's very important. And I must say, like, for a well, completion of a good PhD, it's very important to have a, a good relationship, good bond with your mentor, such that he or she can support you to the best. So that's one thing. And as I mentioned, in India, what I recommend is more collaborative environment should be progressed and pursued, which I feel like, we stay in one lab only. We don't contribute. We don't reach out to people who are experts to learn from them. So that's one thing is missing, and that, discourages a student or research scholar when they are not getting results and reaching failures. So that's one thing, like more of collaborative environment should be pushed on. And the other thing is more of interactions between peer to peer should be, progressed, which is lacking. They're not able to discuss what failures they are getting and how, you know what things or what steps can be taken to overcome them. So peer to peer learning should be promoted in India. And the other thing should be more of collaborative research environment should be broadened. These are two aspects.
Sure. So here I would like audience and the researcher who are listening to this conversation with Dr. Anupama, that Dr. Anupama clearly said one thing about the collaboration and peer-to-peer. When you talk your, thoughts out, feeling low is normal human behavior. Everyone feels it. But going to extent that can harm you or your family in a bigger sense should not be happening. And at Researcher Celebrity, the idea is to celebrate the research. Empowering Science Foundation feels in breaking the barriers, and this is one of the barriers which somehow almost most of the researchers feel sometime in their lifetime that things are not working, projects are not going the way they want. And that is the time where we should consider, just as Dr. Anupama just said, you should reconsider, redesign your research, because we are doing research, we are not doing anything else. There is something which has been done. We want to do it a different way, or something where we can add value to it. So redesigning is the key if the things are not going the way you want, or because when we work with either, as Dr. Anupama said, with the materials or with biological samples, most of the time they don't follow our rules because it's biology. Okay. But when we know our research in and out, if we are thorough in our research, in our review of literature, there are certain rules which even physics, chemistry, biology, everyone has to follow. So just be more thorough in your research. Always talk to your mentor, because Anupama clearly mentioned the bond with the mentor, with your PhD supervisor, is the key for your success. If you cannot talk to them, I believe that you should not join a lab where you cannot talk to your mentor, because that is not going to work, neither for you nor for your mentor, because they might think that you have some great qualities, but if you are not going to talk to them and explain your hurdles, they can't help you anymore. And the same is if you cannot talk to peer conversation when you are facing some problem, because PI is kind of in Indian system is the penultimate, person where we go and talk to. Most of the solutions just come up within the lab, within the research group. And one more thing about the collaborations, that if you feel that someone else is expert of the field, you should not hesitate to write it to them.
Yes.
And this is something which is what we are seeing in Indian system, research system, that it is coming up. Now people are open for more collaborative work and behavior, although everything has its own, pros and cons. You and your supervisor should be on the same page. Don't try to do anything behind their back, because that can backfire very bad. And there are examples which no one should follow. So, Anupama, talking about this collaborative research, when you were doing your PhD, were there any limitations where you felt that the resources in the lab, or the expertise was not in the lab but somewhere else, and when you outreach to someone?
Yes, it was exciting during my PhD as well. Like as my mentors, my PhD supervisors, more open, more collaborative. So yeah, we reached out to collaborators who helped us in some segments of research, and that really helped us to understand the fundamental properties, fundamental reaction pathways, how we are contributing to clean energy production. And similarly, I would like to extend from my PhD to postdoc. I have been, grateful to have an excellent mentor during my postdoc as well, and which who also helps me to encourage more and collaborate more. So that's one thing. Like we are reaching out to experts when we feel like we need their guidance in that segment of research, and that's what it's more like cross-disciplinary research today. Like it's not, and we as contributing to materials, we reach out to people who can help us to understand more of their fundamental nature, their properties, and even their characteristic applications. So that's more like we need to connect dots and inspire next generation with our good work.
Yes, and now you just spoke about interdisciplinary research. These days, it was like 4 or 5 decades before, when chemists are just doing chemistry,
Yes.
biologists are just doing biology. Now everyone is doing everything. It is just a bigger picture where everyone is putting their own part of puzzle to make it as a whole story. And this brings us to our next question, that when you see your future research group, how do you see that as uh, there are the young PIs these days? So different people are working on different projects. Some of them might have overlap, some of them not even closely associated to them. How do you see that in your research?
Yeah, in my research group, we'll have cluster of PIs working in different domains, working together, having collaborative discussions, meetings regularly to discuss on updates, and
Mhm.
also to have a healthy research environment. That's what I look forward as our group. So with all the national, international connections that I have so far, and further getting more connected with their, research family, I would say. So this
Mhm.
research family will stay with me, with my group, and will foster mm, coming generations. So that's what I foresee for our group.
That's very passionate young faculty we can hear to. So now this brings us to next, shaping up the career of a student. So what are the things which you expect in your PhD student, in the researcher who are coming to join your group?
Mhm. What I see, if any researcher who want to contribute and join us in a research mission, I foresee them just one thing, that is they should be passionate about it.
Mhm.
no matter, we can learn together, we can discuss together, we can motivate them. But if they don't have passion for research or science, then it's very difficult. So that's one thing I would see in the researchers who want to contribute to our group, is only passion for whatever they are contributing. For example, as my one passion, like apart from just doing science, is creative science art. So I love to contribute to design and discuss science communication with young students and scholars by coloring the SEM images that we get for nanomaterials. So if we bring in front of them nanomaterials which are more, I would say, understanding to them, like Maxine dragon was one of the example. We have Maxine goldfish, Maxine dory. So these all are nanomaterial structures, but we present them in a format that a student, a kid can relate it to something that it has seen. So that way, that's one thing. Like we want to have an environment where we can discuss science, have more outreach on science. So
This
that's one.
is this is another question. Now I would like to have,
Yeah.
because in general, what is assumed that scientists are not good in communications. They are
Mm-hmm.
good at publishing, writing papers, but they are not brilliant in conveying their research to laymen. And as you correctly pointed out, that talking to students, conveying your research, making them interested into it is the key for the world to keep on doing the research, because we do need people. And
Yeah.
what in recent past has been observed, that people are preferring industry more than academia
Mm-hmm.
for so many reasons. And obviously monetary reason is one of the predominant one for that. But young faculty like you, who's so dedicated and passionate about doing the academic research
Mm-hmm.
with this goal of outreach and communications and science, what are the things which you can suggest to the students if they are, considering to undergo a PhD training or to be in research for the future? What are the things they should prepare themselves with?
Yeah. So first and foremost would be effective communication. That's one thing that a person before joining to PhD should, start looking into resources, start looking into, how well he or she can communicate to science community or research community. So that's one thing. And when I say communication, I have a separate definition. Like to me, communication is more like connect, engage, and inspire. So these are three words that I account for communication. And
Mhm.
that's one thing, like, because whatever we do, like communication in writing, coloring, schematic designing, or anything, like we are building a connect between our science and a reader, right? So that
Mhm.
connect is important. Then we say engaging. Obviously, we talk in terms of, today publishing in highly reputed journals. We see their covers, we see their schematics. It's all about more creativity element now, right? So that creativity element is for engaging people, engaging audience. So that's why whatever we say, we do, we want to engage people, inspire them basically. So engage and further inspire. So that's what I feel. Effective communication is an important element for any researcher. And if they feel they are lacking, then I would say this is the right time, to polish our skills, to learn, because, everything is accessible today. We see many lectures, demos on YouTube as an open source. So I think we should, polish our skills and learn it today, like rather than just delaying it, because that's important.
I think another thing called procrastination. And you
Mm-hmm.
said, do it today. Don't
Yes.
procrastinate it for long.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the phenomenon which has been observed in so many researchers. They always, try to delay it till the time or the day comes, and then just trying to wrap that up. How you will say that they should be organized, especially the PhD students, because that is the most important part of
Yeah.
the training. Once, whatever the way you are trained, it is tough to change it in your postdoctoral research or in, future research career, wherever you go. So if you can share the stories of your how you organized your research in the PhD package.
Yeah, during PhD and postdoctoral, both packages, like as my ongoing research as well. First thing is plan ahead. So that's very important. You need to have a plan for next week's experiments today before you head to weekend. So that's very important. You should have a plan. And that plan before, heading to weekend, you should discuss with your mentor. Like these are the things that I plan to do next week. Find a time, interact with him or her every week just to present whatever research progress has been so far marked and what is next you think. And it's not just presenting work, it's more like discussion. What I feel like when you talk to your mentor, it shouldn't be just like one way communication. I feel it is more like open discussion. Both should contribute to the discussion, to talk to each other and collate ideas. That's one thing. That's one point, like how you can organize uh, regular meetings, discussions, and plan for the next week. Second thing is, as I mentioned, like broaden your sphere of thinking and thoughts. So to do that is basically participate in conferences, participate in workshops, see what people are doing, what is new, being developed, and just learn their science and engineering perspectives as well. So that really helps to broaden your mindset for doing research. Maybe you get some idea while talking to any researcher at a conference, right? More of science sharing. So that's important. Like that's one thing that I learned from my journey that really helped me to connect to people who are inspiring, doing great science. And as I mentioned, peer-to-peer learning, which is very important. Talk to people which are not from your field. Try to communicate your science to them and see what they get. So that's where you understand like how much you're able to communicate and translate your science to them. So that's very important. During my PhD and even in my postdoc, I often have like friends, colleagues which are from other disciplines. So when we, talk science to them, it's difficult sometimes to make them understand what exactly we do. But when we share, try to see, and then they share their inputs, then we try to find, okay, what if, if I'm making a material, you'll be able to model it for some, like we have AI and machine learning these days. That's really helping to boost material science. So that's we can see like people from AI and material science coming together to have a future discussions on what and where material science can lead us to. So that's where we need peer to peer learning, which is the golden rule, I think, and more um, organization requires more discussions with mentor. So that's one thing, and also more discussions within a group as well. That also helps to more collaborative environment and a healthy research environment. That's important.
So one thing, if Dr. Anupama, if you were not a researcher, what
Mhm.
was the other thing you can imagine yourself doing?
Other than that, I wanted to like, if not a researcher, then I would have landed up to be a doctor. That was my
Mm-hmm.
second thought. Not
Mm-hmm.
an engineer, then definitely a doctor.
Okay. In India, it goes opposite. So if you are
Yeah.
not a doctor, then you are an engineer,
Yes.
and if you are not an engineer, then you are a researcher.
Yeah,
So,
that's like.
so this started. So now we are marching toward the edge of the conversation.
Yeah.
So if we sum this up, that you were passionate about research,
Mhm.
you did your PhD, doing the postdoctoral fellow, looking forward, already committed for the future research at IIT Gandhinagar as an early career fellow. What are the things, or because you suggested, you gave your inputs about the students, how they should prepare themselves for PhD on their organizations. What are the things, as you can suggest, apart from research, are crucial for them to be a researcher or their success?
Yeah. So, few points. Be responsible. Take the responsibility of whatever you're doing, whether it's a research, you're supporting family, you're managing your business, or anything. Be responsible for whatever you are doing. Be dedicated. Stay motivated always. And as I said, like as we are working in science or doing engineering or anything, be a role model for others. If you hold that responsibility that yes, I want to do something really good, contribute to something good and inspire others, that's one thing that will push you forward to do good science, good engineering, or anything, whatever you're doing, to be the best in that. So be a role model, that's one thing, and take that responsibility that you are basically the limelight for others, like the dedicated, people are watching you. So with that, just do good science and good research.
Okay, so now if we can ask about your role model and inspiration.
Yeah, for me, uh, scientist Marie Curie is one, and Dr. Tessie Thomas, ma'am. So these are like few role models which I follow. And there are many women in STEM now. Now we have a lineup of women in STEM and engineering. So I really cherish and celebrate every woman who are doing great job in science and engineering, and fostering to complete women empowerment. So that's really great. And I also appreciate all the men community and other diverse communities which are supporting for helping women to proceed further. So that's really great. We appreciate every effort.
So we recently at a researcher celebrity, we celebrated the women empowerment. The entire month was dedicated to women. And although we have a couple of minutes for this, what are your thoughts about when people do talk about the women empowerment in STEM or in research field or in general? What are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts, as I said, being a woman of color and a woman in STEM, I'm very supportive in whatever agencies, countries, nations are doing together to support women in STEM. I see a progress because as I see myself from only graduating to postdoctoral research, there have been drastic change, and we appreciate all the efforts that has been marked, and we are increasing the numbers of more women who are pursuing to science and engineering. So that's one progress we see. The other thing is we don't have to stop. So with that passion, all like as I said, myself being a woman, I see like I should be a role model for other young women to join science and engineering. So to do that, I weekly or monthly, I engage myself in science communication activities at school, college levels. I reach out to people, just to demonstrate what I'm doing, what is the opportunities for other women to join. So that's one thing. We need to cultivate a science, a sphere where we can talk to people, reach out to people. So that's very important. And that's where I'm heading to. And I encourage everyone to contribute to that mission. So that's great.
So we congratulate you for all the hardships you have already gone through and the success you are tasting now. And even more important is your vision and your efforts to engage people from now, and then with this very optimistic and very positive attitude about your research group and the vision, what you have for the researchers in your group. We congratulate you for that, and thank you very much for taking time out as our researcher celebrity.
Yes,
I
thank
have
you
just
very
one
much.
last question. Now,
Yes.
at the after all these minutes when we talk, what do you think about researchers being celebrities?
For me, this platform serves as a place where we can encourage others. So that's for me. Researcher celebrity is a role model for younger and coming generations. And I congratulate to you basically for starting this initiative. It's really great, and it will serve as a role bearer for the coming generations and we encourage you to make it more popular and broaden it more. So definitely, I'll also contribute the same, and I encourage all research celebrities to contribute to this mission, because this is something that we all can foster for the coming generation. That's really great.
Thank you very much for your kind words. But as I explained it about Empowering Science Foundation, we believe in breaking the barriers. And one of the barrier when we see all around the world is like people don't see researchers as celebrities. So we thought, okay, let's start celebrating research.
Yes.
And let's make them researcher celebrities. And today we had you in the same effort of our token to the research. Thank you very much and good luck. Stay connected.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity.